Ooh, ancient province.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Good Character, episode number 2, where we look at Caves of Cud's character creator, but this time we look at true kin rather than mutants, and we'll see what options the true kin have available to them. Some people think true kin are underpowered. I don't tend to agree with that assessment. They're a lot easier for beginning players, new players to use because, as you can see, they have the higher starting attributes, more skill points. But in the end, I think you could build a Truekin to be just as powerful as some kind of Esper or some kind of crazy Chimera mutant. But the Truekin are just a very different play style. You have to look for those cybernetic enhancements. As you can see, they get more base points in their abilities, and they get more points to spend overall if you count the base points in the abilities. I think it's something like it's as if they have 6 additional points to spend. We're not going to talk a lot about the abilities. What we want to talk about is this screen here, the arcology and cast. This is where we find some interesting information, and I'm going to slowly go through the different casts that you can choose, the different classes that you can choose to start with your character, just to give you a sense of the different options. But what I want to do is talk about the very interesting background that you get just by looking at this screen in the character creator. The first arcology that's available to us, an arcology like the protected, almost like a dome, where the true kin live away from the mutants, where they can manage their societies. The first arcology is the toxic arboreta of, let's see if we can do it, Equimekie, the holy city. Maybe that's how it's pronounced. I think that's pretty good. So it's a forested area where they hunt and make sacrifices, and the different classes available to you reflect that. Then you look at the next arcology, the ice-sheathed arcology of Ibel, and right away you love that how the text is changed. The jungle arcology has the green text. The color of the text for Ibel is a frosty blue, and you have different classes available to you. In the arboreta, you have these 2 different priest classes, this class focused on agriculture, a horticulturalist, and you have this dual-wielding warrior. Let's see if I can pronounce it, the Syzygier, perhaps? Then in Ibel, you have the artifacts, the council, the praetorian, and the eunuch. You have what seems like a religious sort of culture. Then you have in Ibel maybe a more ancient Roman sort of culture with the praetorians. Maybe that's what they're going for. The consul. And then we have the crustal mortals. Mortars. I'm sure the mortals who are there are very crusty as well. The crustal mortars of Yawning Moon. And, of course, you have this deep red text talking to us about perhaps a more volcanic region. And if we end up looking a little bit at some of the information we get from the next screen, we'll see that that supposition is, in fact, a good one. So you have the child of the hearth, the child of the wheel, the child of the deep, and the fuming godchild. All of them have child in their name. What is that about? Well, you have to go into the game and explore to find out. But these 3 different arcologies are just from these different casts, just from the colors that are chosen for the text. It tells us a lot of interesting information about the different backgrounds that you have available to you in this game. I just love how text is used in this game to communicate so much. Anyway, we move on to our wonderful screen here with the various cybernetic enhancements that a Truekin can get. Not as many options as a mutant, but still plenty of options. Carbide hand bones and pentaceps are some of the ones I particularly enjoy. Inflatable axons has a very interesting description. But if we look at the Yawning Moon only cybernetic enhancement, it tells us some information about the volcanic grottos, where sight wanes, the children of the deep have different senses to determine where the stairs up and down are. It gives us a very nice bit of background, and it makes sense based on the arcology that you're from in Yawning Moon. In Equimechie, you have something that's going to help them in their nightly hunts, the Nocturnal Apex. And it talks about how the Holy City denizens have different rituals. You know, they're praying in the day and hunting at night. And then if we look in Ibel, we see that their unique cybernetic is the cherubic visage, or visage, whatever you want to pronounce it. I don't care. The point is it gives you +1 ego. But the information that we get is interesting. Cardinal instructions dictate the reformation of the face's bone structure and plump tissue mass into a soft and angelic countenance. You can imagine all of these people walking around in this arcology having cherubic faces. How silly and how somewhat also sinister, too. It feels very strange to imagine a world that's just filled with these people. You know, you have very good background given through the character creator once again. And again, it's the text. It's the text. Now, what I'm doing here, I'm just quickly putting together a build I like. I want to focus on getting the strength and agility where they need to be. And I have some odd numbers here because I am very confident in my ability to get to the level up where you get a +1 in all of your ability scores. So what I like to do is, it's kind of silly, actually. For some reason, I'm really interested in horticulturalists, and I like to take the carbide hand bones because I had these 2 games where I started as a horticulturalist, and I had a ton of books. And those of you who've played the game before know that if you have a bunch of books, there's a certain quest you can take to go up to one of the religious sites in the game, and you can donate your books to a library for a lot of XP. And both times I started with the horticulturalist, oh my gosh, I don't know how many books. I think I had 8 or 10 books, and that would have been a great boost if I had, survived long enough to get to that quest. I didn't build the horticulturalist with the carbide hand bones the way that I did with this character. The carbide hand bones are great because they give you a powerful unarmed attack, very good for the beginning of the game. Higher strength gives you higher penetration, which means you can roll more damage more times, have a higher chance to critically hit. And as long as you give yourself a decent amount of toughness, you're not going to have a lot of trouble. So that's why you can see the stats. I didn't want to take a negative modifier in toughness. I wanted a little bit more intelligence because I like to play with skill points, willpower, and ego. I'm confident that I can get to the point where I'm going to level up when I have this carbide hand bones build. A little bit of agility to make sure I hit. If you're going to do a build like this with carbide hand bones and you're not going to take a character that has the weapon skill that goes with carbide hand bones, make sure you invest in cudgel relatively quickly because it helps you to hit more accurately and it helps you to have some crowd control. It helps you to stun enemies around you, which is vital if you're fighting off a pack of enemies. Truekin are a little bit tougher than mutants in the beginning, but you could still melt like water in combat in this game, so you have to be very thoughtful with the way you play. And because they don't have mutant abilities, Truekin are going to have to rely more on skills to get themselves out of tricky situations in combat, which is why I think investing early and relatively heavily in cudgel with this sort of build gives you a chance to have a lot more survival because you can stun and you can make it easier for your hits to hit harder. Now, of course, you could take a different class and already have these bonuses to strength you might want and the cudgel abilities, but I just like having those skills that the horticulturalist starts with, and the early levels in Cud go by quickly enough, and if you get a bunch of books, they go by really quickly, that you can hoard up a lot of skill points and get your attack skills relatively quickly. And then you have those other ancillary skills, to play with. Anyway, I just wanted to show off a little bit of the Truekin stuff. It's such a cool game, Caves of Cud. I really hope that everyone will be interested in trying it. Freehold Games has done a wonderful job with this. Thanks for watching the video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy this stuff, and God bless you all.